Okay, so I just want to start this video off by saying a massive thank you to everyone that has subscribed to the channel. We have hit the 40,000 mark, which is absolutely incredible, and well, that's the reason for this video. I thought to celebrate in some sort of way, I'd do a bit of a Q&A. Thanks very much to everyone that submitted questions. I've had a lot of good ones, so without further ado, let's just jump straight in.
It's about time we do this. It's the cycling tattooist.
So the first question come from Mount Mindset. That is my good pal Gio. You may have seen him in some previous videos. He said, worst and best day on the bike and why? This is a good question. Worst day on the bike, well, I've had quite a lot of those. One that really sticks out in my mind, OG subscribers may remember this. I did a 24-hour ride where I was trying to basically do the entire Festive 500 in one ride. And yeah, that was back when I lived in the UK, and it was cold, windy, rainy, everything you don't want when you're trying to ride your bike for 24 hours. But I did get it done. But yeah, that was definitely one of the times that I feel like I've suffered the most on the bike. And then best day, well, I mean, again, I've had a lot of really good days out on the bike, but one that seems to really stick out in my mind was probably the first time I went away on my bike. I don't know if you guys remember that, but the first ever cycling holiday I went on was to Mallorca, of course. And yeah, just that first feeling of being out in another country, in the sun, on your bike, yeah, you can't beat that first trip away. So yeah, I think that, yeah, that definitely stands out to me. And maybe you're watching this and you're thinking about getting away on your bike and you haven't yet, or maybe you're new to cycling. Yeah, so I just want to say, definitely go for it. It's 100% one of the best things you'll do, getting away on holiday on your bike. I mean, I loved it so much, I even moved country to somewhere where the riding was better. Okay. Next question is from another good friend of mine. It is the legendary Cam Nichols, and he says, who's the biggest on cycling YouTube? That's a quick, easy answer, isn't it? It's you, mate, of course. Okay, so let's move on to a bit more of a serious question now. This one was over on YouTube from Kitchen76. He said, hi Thomas, love your content, congrats on the success of your channel. My question is, in a demanding world where life happens with day-to-day obligations regarding family, work, chores and so on, how do you keep up your motivation to get on your bike and still put in the work? It's something I struggle with, especially now with shorter days and less favourable weather conditions. Cheers. Yeah, I definitely hear you on this one. It's certainly something that I struggle with from time to time. I mean, weather conditions wise, I'll be honest, now I'm just a fair weather cyclist, and I just don't go out when it's bad weather now. It's just, yeah, I feel like at the start of my cycling journey, I did way too much of that, riding in all weather conditions, and yeah, I think I've just done too much of it, and I can't be bothered with it anymore. So yeah, now I tend to do a lot more indoor riding, which I know it's not for everyone. I am a big advocate for Zwift. I love the platform. Now I've got a kid, and you have all these things going on in your life. Yeah, it does make it difficult to keep on top of your training, and for me, that's where Zwift comes in. And you know, you can just get way more structured training in for less time, and obviously you can jump on really quickly at any point in the day. One of the things I probably would say is just maybe set realistic expectations. So my kind of minimum amount of riding I like to try and get in a week is 6 hours, which, you know, maybe for some people that's a lot, but for me, like, I used to do a lot more than that. So just setting myself a realistic amount that I can commit to, then that way you're not going to be letting yourself down. One last thing I'll just say about that as well is, you know, if you are lacking motivation, maybe focus on the positive effects that you're having on your health, because, you know, at the end of the day, you got to look after yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to look after anyone else. Okay, so this next one is from Sam Dean, NC5PT, and he says, why do you live in Portugal? I only ask as I plan to move there. Now, I had a lot of questions surrounding the move to Portugal and wondering why we picked Portugal. So this is obviously a bit of a long story, but I'll try and cut it down as much as possible. Basically, pre-COVID, for many years, me and my partner Rach had been wanting to and planning to move to Australia, particularly Melbourne. We absolutely love that place. It is our favourite place on earth. We was going through the process of getting the visas and all that stuff. Obviously anyone that's moved to Australia or tried to will know it is a very long, hard process, which we was going through for years. But then of course when COVID hit, it put a stop to all travel, and with that our visa process went completely down the toilet. So after that we was left in a bit of a strange limbo position where we didn't really know what we was doing. We knew we wasn't happy staying in the UK, but we couldn't bear to go through that long, arduous process of trying to get to Australia again. We knew that it was going to be a lot easier to move somewhere within Europe, so it basically boiled down to the fact that we came here on holiday and really enjoyed it. And then once we kind of knew that was an option for us, we came back here again, and we literally did a trip where we just traveled around as much of Portugal as we could, literally jumped around town to town, checking it out. And yeah, we just got a bit of a vibe for it. And we landed on the town of ESSEX, where we live now. Just, yeah, fell in love with it. And to be honest, there wasn't a lot more thought than that. It was just a case of, you know, we wasn't getting any younger, and if we was going to do it, we had to do it now. So yeah, we decided that's it. We settled on that and we went for it. Anyways, that leads me nicely into the next question, which is from Ahala, and they say, pros and cons of living in Portugal, please be unbiased. So of course, moving to another country, there are going to be pros and cons. We absolutely love it here, so the pros far outweigh the cons, but you know, not everything's perfect. So the first pro, and probably the most obvious one, being that I come from the UK, is this. Look, the sun is shining. It is a beautiful day. We're in mid-October right now, and it's only 11 AM right now, and it's 22 degrees. So absolutely perfect weather. Of course, it's not always like this, but like I say, as someone coming from the UK, well, you definitely get a lot more sunny days than over there. The other things we love and that drew us to this place originally was things like the people. They are absolutely lovely. They are some of the best people you'll ever meet, the Portuguese. Obviously, you know, that is a blanket statement. You are still going to get some but generally as a rule, especially when I compare it to people from the UK, so much more friendlier and just generally have more time for you. And then of course you've got the food. We absolutely love the Portuguese food, and just generally the way of life. It's a lot more chilled out here. It's not that sort of rat race kind of feel that you get back in the UK. One of the things I always use as an example is when I'm out on the road on the bike, I get very minimal hassle from car drivers here. Again, of course, yeah, you're going to get it from time to time. But in the UK, every single ride that I would go out on, it's guaranteed you're going to get some sort of grief. Whereas here, it's, you know, quite the opposite. It's once in a blue moon. But yeah, I just think it goes to show you that generally, as a rule, people are a lot more friendly here. And then as far as cons go, I'd say the one that sticks out in my mind the most, I think before we moved here, I kind of had this idea that it was going to be maybe a bit cheaper way of life. In fact, the cost of living is actually quite high here. Things that you might not necessarily think about, like, you know, your grocery shopping, it's all quite expensive. Again, comparing from the UK to here, I would say, yeah, your general week shopping is going to cost you a bit more here. But then the thing that makes that obviously harder is the fact that generally the money that you can make here is less in comparison, so it makes that expense feel even more so. And then also things like rent are is quite expensive here, I would say. Maybe you get a little bit more for your money, but generally as a rule, I'd say the rent is quite high, and that's if you can even find a property, because you know, people like us are moving here, and it's, you know, it's creating a shortage of properties. So yeah, we found it really difficult to find somewhere to rent. Also with cars as well, same story with cars. Second-hand cars here are so expensive, it is ridiculous. Like, I'm talking like double what they are in the UK. And again, trying to find a good one, good luck. And then I think the only other issues we've had have been maybe surrounding the healthcare. Before we moved here, we'd read a lot about how the healthcare here was really, really good, and the care itself is good. The problems we've run into have been more the fact of that we can't speak Portuguese, which, yeah, of course, that's on us. The worst cases, we have been made to feel really awkward in the doctors because we don't speak Portuguese. They almost try and make us feel bad about it. But yeah, like I say, that's more a me problem. I am trying to learn Portuguese. It is just bloody hard. I don't know if any of you out there have tried to learn a new language, but yeah, it ain't easy. Andy Hind 91 said, do you miss Essex? No, I don't. No, of course there are some things that I miss from, you know, being back in the UK, but yeah, the positives far outweigh the negatives. So one of the things I probably miss the most, actually, is a good coffee. You can't seem to get a good coffee around here. There is a few places, but if you're out on a ride in the middle of nowhere, good luck getting a flat white, I tell you. Whilst we're on the topic of food, Bike and Bite Adventures said favourite Portuguese food. Now, I think when you talk about Portuguese food, you have to kind of split it into two categories. You've got, you know, your savoury, like your normal food dishes, and then your pastries. Savoury food for me, my favourite Portuguese dish is called pica-pau, and it's quite a simple dish. It's just basically these like small bits of like steak meat, all cut up with some like pickled veggies in kind of like a garlicky jus. I probably just described that terribly, but it is absolutely delicious. You dunk some bread in the jus and you get a bit of meat on the bread. Mwah, it is so good. And then pastry wise, I know what you guys are thinking. You think I'm going to say pastel de nata, but I'm not. I'm going with the travesseiro, which is basically this sausage roll looking thing, loads of sugar all over it, and inside it's got this almondy egg cream. They use that filling in a lot of their pastries here, but yeah, I absolutely love them things. I think I've maybe just had one too many natas at this point, and yeah, I think I've converted now. George Mogas says Garmin versus WAHOO bike computer. Now, some of you may remember a while back I used to use a Garmin and I absolutely hated that thing. I had nothing but problems with it, and since switching to the WAHOO, I've had no problems. So there's your answer. WAHOO for the win. Steve C 1975 says, do you regret anything that you have done in cycling? Now, this is a good one. There's probably is quite a few regrets, like, you know, some of the long, stupid, painful rides I've done. What I probably regret the most is something that a lot of people fall victim to, and that is, at the start of my cycling journey, I felt the need to have the latest and greatest products and, you know, the best bike, the best parts, and really, you just don't need it. Okay, so even though it is a Saturday and the weather, like I said, is gorgeous out there, I'm not going to get out on the bike today because I don't know if you saw my last video, but I took a bit of a tumble. So turns out I ended up hurting myself a little bit more than I initially thought, and I've busted my ribs. They are absolutely killing me. I can, however, ride indoors on the trainer because that seems to not cause me too much grief. Yeah, I probably should be sitting around resting, but I just can't do it. So I'm just going to jump on Zwift, get a little hour zone 2 in, nothing too strenuous. Today I was actually meant to be going on another crazy adventure with the TGV guys, but I didn't really think that was a good idea for me to be joining that one today. I mean, that sort of ride isn't the easiest to do at the best of times. Right, anyways, let's get to answering more of these questions. So I've got one from Michael, and he said, current FTP and how long it took you to get there. When did you start road cycling? And in your bigger years, pre-kids, how many hours a week were you doing? Congrats on the achievement. Well, thanks very much, Michael. And current FTP, I'm not entirely sure. I think the last time I tested was a good few months back now. And that was my highest ever FTP. I got 363. Pretty sure I'm not there at the minute. I don't feel like I am. I'm probably gonna guess maybe around the 340, 345 mark. As for how long it took me to get there, well, I've been cycling for about 4 or 5 years now, and I guess it's been a bit of a steady progress. There was probably a year or two in the middle where I kind of plateaued, but up until recent years, and more specifically this year, I haven't really ever done any proper structured training. I have dabbled here and there, but now I'm actually focusing on, you know, getting a good workout in each week, getting my zone 2 work in, and just being consistent with it. Before I had my kid, of course, I had more free time to play with, and I would usually aim for somewhere around maybe 10 hours a week minimum. Certainly when I first started cycling, it was even more than that. We was probably doing 15 hours a week maybe. As I mentioned earlier, that's now settled down to about 6 hours a week. You know, every now and again, I don't even do that. If it's a really busy week, I'm not gonna, you know, not gonna cry about it. If I don't quite manage the 6 hours, it's not the end of the world, but as a rule, that's where I'm at right now. Martin Molina, 21, says, how do you record your videos and what gear do you use? It's awesome what you do. Well, thanks very much, Martin. I use an array of different cameras, depending on obviously what I'm shooting. Like right now, I'm shooting this on my Sony A7C, and then, you know, gear-wise, I'm using a wireless lapel mic. Most of the time when I'm out on the bike, the POV shots that you see, that I get with a mouth mount with a GoPro. And then also, from time to time, I also use Insta360, the X series. You know, that's great for getting those really interesting shots. I then also, from time to time, just use an iPhone. It just depends what you've got to hand at the time, what's gonna kind of be best for the job. Got one from the Ultra Realtor. He says, how did you muscle through the early days of no subscribers? Yeah, that's rough. Obviously, everyone that dabbles in YouTube, their journey is different. For me, I would say I did have quite a long period of, you know, the kind of death zone or whatever they referred to it as, where you're consistently putting out videos and they're just not getting any traction. And yeah, it's certainly tough. You know, there's periods where you're, like I say, you're just pumping out these videos and they're getting minimal views. The thing for me, and the thing I think is quite important if you are starting out, is you need to not put so much pressure on yourself, and, you know, don't put yourself in a position where, you know, you need these videos to do well. Make the videos for fun, put them out, and then just let them do their thing. If they do well, brilliant. If they don't, it's no skin off your nose. I've got another one here from Mount Mindset, my man Gio. He says, what was your craziest day on the bike and why? What made it nuts? Yeah, it's a difficult one to answer that. I mean, I've done quite a few rides that you would consider crazy. I think maybe one that certainly sticks out in my mind was when I did the Everesting up Sacalobra. That was a grueling day. Yeah, anyone that's seen that video, you know I absolutely suffered. Yeah, riding up and down Sacalobra 13 times in a day. Another one from Gio here, he says, if you were to ride with any pro, past or present, who would it be and what would you ask them? For me, it has to be the people's champ, Mathieu van der Poel. I just think He's an absolute legend, and although I've never met him, he's just one of those guys, he comes across as a real nice guy. So yeah, I would love to meet him. But as for what I would ask him, I mean, I'd probably be pretty starstruck. Like, I think I'd probably ask him if he wants a tattoo. Because, I mean, how cool would that be to say that I got to give Matthew van der Poel a tattoo? Hopefully then the word would spread through the peloton and, you know, I'd become the tattoo artist for the pros. Ganna, if you're watching, I know you like your tattoos. Get in touch, mate. Let's hook you up. This one is from Dave, and he says, do you do much gym or cross training? Can't you tell, mate? No, I don't go to the gym. It's definitely something that I do want to do. I have done it in the past, a long time ago, but for a long time I didn't really have to worry about it because I used to, as some of you may know, ride BMX quite a lot, so I naturally had strength from that, and you know, BMXing is kind of a full body workout, but in recent years, you know, I haven't been doing that as much as I quite like, and of course now, unfortunately, I am getting older. I'm 37 now, so the aging effects of losing muscle and all that good stuff that you don't want to lose, it's starting to creep in. So yeah, it's certainly something in my mind, and I've been talking to a few people about it recently. I'm planning to get back in the gym and start pumping iron. Here's one that's certainly highly opinionated, but Joe Byrne said, your dream bike, question mark. To be honest, I don't really have like a specific dream bike as such. I think for me, one of the things that I really love, which, you know, some people hate, is the look of a lightweight climbing kind of frame, but with aero stuff on it. So I know that's a big faux pas, but yeah, like lightweight frame with like some, you know, 60 mil deep rims. I think if I had to pick a specific model of bike right now, I would maybe lean towards a Giant TCR, something like that. I really like David's one that he's got. I think, yeah, it just looks beautiful. Or something like the BMC SLR01 that I tested recently. I mean, yes, that's the kind of bike that ticks the boxes for me. Light, responsive, aero, and sexy looking. Here's a good one from CL365. He says, congratulations, Thomas. What music do you listen to on a ride? Love the content. Well, thanks very much, mate. Thanks for watching. And music-wise, I have a very eclectic music taste. I could be listening to all sorts of different stuff on a ride. I guess ultimately it depends on what kind of a ride it is. So, you know, when I do my fast crew chain gang rides that I do on a Thursday, come join them. I'll usually put on, you know, something a bit heavier. I'm quite a fan of the old sort of hair metal, as they call it, you know, Motley Crue, Twisted Sister, stuff like that. That really gets me going for those kind of hard efforts. But then ultimately, I'd say my favorite kind of genre is hip hop. If it's a longer solo ride, then yeah, I'll definitely be sticking on some hip hop. I love the old school stuff like Nas and Biggie, Mos Def. And then yeah, I also like, you know, more underground stuff from the States like Murs, or UK stuff like the 4 Hours, or even my man Press One. Go listen to his new album, Grow Up. Right, there we go. Nice little Zone 2 ride, done and dusted. Let's go sort myself out. I'm a hot, sweaty mess. Post-ride, cheeky Magnum out in the sun. Can't beat it. Is a mini Magnum, mind you. Can't be that overindulgent, can you? Okay, so let's answer a few more of these questions before we wrap up this video. We've got one here from Fabio Hartman 4313. He says, are you sponsored by MAAP? And the answer is yes, I am sponsored by MAAP. In fact, they are actually the brand that I've been dealing with the longest in this whole cycling content creating journey. They first started sponsoring me in 2022. That was off the back of, I did a video with them where I sat down and spoke with Jared, one of the guys that started up MAAP. That was in fact back at episode 61. So we've literally just hit 200 episodes now, so yeah, it was a long time ago, and I'm forever grateful for MAAP for believing in me at, you know, such an early stage of my YouTube channel. And I was a massive fan of them before that anyway. I had loads of their kit, and yeah, that was honestly a dream come true, you know, getting to work with them. And hopefully, if I don't f it up, then I'll be working with those guys for many more years to come. Here's a bit of a serious one from Johnny H. He says, being a new dad myself, I'm curious, how do you balance fatherhood and your hobbies? Now, this is a little bit of a unique one for me because I am very lucky to be able to say that my hobbies overlap into what I would also call work. So I do have a very good excuse to be able to still do my hobbies whilst also calling it work. I understand that is not going to be the case for most people, but yeah, I guess I've put things into place to be able to do that for myself. The other thing that I have to say, and I haven't got a gun held to my back, is I do have an amazing partner, Rach. She is super understanding and knows that there is this blurred line with me and my work and my hobbies, and yeah, she's nothing but supportive. So yeah, that obviously helps a lot. But one thing I will say is something I touched on earlier, is that I do think it is very important to set these sort of healthy habits and, you know, show your kids that, you know, having hobbies, especially ones that involve, you know, physical sports, it is good for your health, and, you know, not only physical but mentally as well. I think that's a great thing to teach your kids, right? Okay, and we'll end with this one here. Sorry if I didn't get around to answering your questions. I tried to answer as many as I could. This one is from Jay Kinley 81, and he says, what would your favourite ride look like? Favourite distance, route, climbs, coffee stops, pastel de nata stops? So yes, the first thing, of course, on the dream ride, you have to have a coffee stop. I think anyone, I think actually in general, you have to stop for coffee or a cake at some point. Otherwise, it's sacrilege, isn't it? But yeah, favourite ride-wise, I don't know. I'd say I'd keep it to about 100k, steady pace, flat if possible. And yeah, like I say, of course, a nice coffee cake stop. Oh, and of course, the sun has to be shining. I think if you get out for a nice group ride with, you know, decent group of your pals in the sun, nice coffee stop, you just can't beat that, can you? It's literally the best. Anyways, that'll about do us. I just want to end by saying a huge thank you to every single one of you. Over 40,000 subscribers now. It's just absolutely insane. It's something I never thought would happen. When I first started this channel, I just started it for a bit of fun, and now it's escalated to what it is now. You know, getting to deal with these brands like Swift, and you know, it is just really incredible. It's a dream come true, and I have each and every one of you guys to thank for that. There's been a lot of crazy things going on in this channel, a lot of amazing trips, but we're not stopping there. Next year, I've got a lot of cool things lined up. Can't wait to share them with you all. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.